Hello, listener. This is Marty V, and I have some exciting news. Romance Writers Therapy is now sponsored by Plotter.com. That is Plottr.com. And as you remember from our conversation with Troy Lambert, Plotter is a storyboarding software that makes moving your plot around and double checking how the flow is and the structure of your story in a really pretty intuitive way. So if you haven't checked out Plotter.com, go to Plottr.com because they are now sponsoring us.
Hi, welcome to Romance Writers Therapy. I'm Kate Pryor. That's Marty V.
Hi!
And this week we have DJ Russo with us.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, DJ. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What about you, Kate? How are you?
Oh, sorry. I'm already talking.
No, you're
over
good.
people.
We're really bad
I was
going
to say, it's been ages since anybody's actually asked me how I am.
Really?
Oh my god. Are you okay?
No, I mean, no, not in
Like
not
in a
that sense, but it's
self-isolation kind of way? Or like a...
No, like
because
when you live in Europe, no one asks that, so it's like
weird.
Right, yeah.
It's very weird when you encounter somebody here that says, "How are you?" and it's like, I'm fine. Like, I was getting my glasses the one week, and the guy, who is Dutch, by the way, said, "Hi, how are you?" And I'm like, what?
Prepare to be bowled over by Marty's Midwesternness.
Exactly. I hope you're ready for like aggressive small
my
talk.
God.
Aggressively
small talk.
polite small talk.
Just utterly crushing weight of small talk.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, they don't do that here at all. It's weird.
It would be such a culture shock for me. Like, I mean, even like my best friends, like I know how they are, right? Like, Kate, I mean, I ask you every single week, how are you? I know how you are. I know.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it is just a part of like the beginning of a conversation to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So should we tell them about your book?
Let's just going off the highway.
Exactly. I don't really believe in segues, so I love small talk, but I don't like segues.
My next one in the series is actually taking place here.
Oh, cool.
So I have a lot of Dutch happening in the actual book itself. Like, I'm sprinkling it in. So it's in there. But the first one does not take place in the Netherlands. It takes place in Atlanta at first. Because I want to write about Dragon Con without writing about Dragon Con. And I love Dragon Con. I love going. And I'll probably never get to go again because I'm in Europe. It's far away. But I like going. And I wanted to write about it, and then I was like, well, let's put them in outer space now. And honestly, I wrote this in between projects because I was bored.
Boredom is the best inspiration.
Seriously.
Yeah, I was getting very frustrated with the book that is currently with my editor right now, and hopefully that'll come out in May for Mermay.
Ooh,
cute.
I mean, yeah, I thought, let me put out this book that I've been working on for the past 2 years in May because it's about mermen. I'm sorry, this is I have ADHD, so you're gonna get bits and pieces of my brain just splattered across the wall.
Again, us too. So you're doing great.
So male romance for mermaid because they're both mermen, but the other alien book I'm writing right now is a continuation of the series that I accidentally started last year because I was fed up with the merman book, and I just put it aside, and I was like, I need to write something simpler, and I just really want a book where it's stupid and easy to write and fun and just a lot of sex in it.
I love
that's what I did.
That is the primary mood I write my monster romance in. All right, we're gonna do the dumb fuck shit, and it's gonna be fun.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this other one, the the Merman book that I'm writing is kicking off a trilogy, and it has a lot of world building that's been difficult for me to keep straight. It's kind of like been in development hell, I suppose. So I just really can't wait to just get it out there so that I can continue with it. But in the meanwhile, I'm having fun writing these short, fun alien romances that are like really high steam.
You're giving the readers of this genre what they're looking for too, though. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that is part of the monster romance like attraction.
Absolutely.
This is quick. It's hot. Let's go. Right?
Yeah, because sometimes that's all you're in the headspace for and in the mood for. Like, maybe you just read My Dark Vanessa, like me last year, where I read My Dark Vanessa, and I'm like, oh my god.
I need something
What do I do?
Yeah.
I mean, like, after you read something dark and heavy, can really lift your mood.
I have been very, I haven't read much dark stuff in a while. And I just read Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo and really enjoyed it. And there was only one part that I, like, skipped 30 seconds ahead because I was listening to the audiobook. But otherwise, like, I was good with that level of dark. Right? Mm-hmm. But again, like I've mentioned this before, listener, if you read it, like check the trigger warnings. If you can't find them, you can email me even, and I will send you the ones I can think of. Like it's not.
Marty will personally look out for you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and like the thing is like I have read enough Leigh Bardugo. I have read like the first in the series. I knew what I was stepping into. And I just think that's really important to know these things because, everyone has their own life experiences. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm starting to get into some more darker stuff, but I'm also like, I just don't need anything grotesquely dark anymore. Like, that is just not all what's going to work for me. Like, there has to be a point.
Yeah, so somebody actually described my book as cozy sci-fi.
I love that.
And I'm like, oh, well, that's cute.
And your book is called Abduction Seduction. I would like to give its title. So.
Yes.
And it actually just got a recover, right?
Yes, it did. It got a recover.
So what made you decide to do that?
Low sales.
Okay.
Honestly, you know Becca Syme?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how she's always telling you to, like, question the premise?
I love that.
Do you know about that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, the QTP thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm doing everything else that I possibly can. I'm, like, doing TikTok. I'm doing Instagram. Mm-hmm. Why are my sales down? Everything's great. My cover, my blurb, those things are fine. And then I was like, but are they?
Mm-hmm.
Are they? And that's what made me do a complete 360 is just because I like my cover does not necessarily mean it is hitting my ideal reader.
Absolutely. Well, that's like such a hard place to come to also because like you have created something out of nothing and like part of that creation was this cover, right? And so to be like...
It was a pre-made, actually. Yeah. And then I wrote the story afterwards based on that pre-made cover.
So, like, it was, like, part of the birthing of the book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Yeah, so I wrote a story revolving around the cover, and the title was just a joke I came up with on a whim, just for laughs and stuff. But, I grew up with science fiction in the house constantly because of my dad. He was a total nerd. And we would watch movies, sci-fi movies together. And so I was really heavily influenced by the media that I took in as a kid, you know, like Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, gosh,
in the 90s.
Right? Yeah,
where
I remember that.
My mom would hear the theme song and she's like, turn it off. You've been having too many nightmares lately.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I remember that. I remember talking to one of my cousins. She was a couple years older than me. And we were at Grandma and Grandpa's, and she's like, I don't like this show. I'm like, I find it really interesting. And like, I was, like 10. So like, I didn't say it in those exact words. But like, that was the message. She's like, it just makes me realize all the things that could happen to me. And it was the first time that had ever crossed my mind. And it scared the shit out of me.
You know, I like to think that it made me a more cautious kid, knowing to not go with strangers or to trust everybody just because, you know, they look nice or something. You know, like I'm not so cautious to the point where I won't take risks. Like, I take calculated, smart risks, not like, I mean, until university, but that's a whole nother thing.
I remember like going to a party off, like I was with my friends because I didn't go to university, but like I was with my friends. We went off campus to a party at some people's like apartment, and I was like, I could not get us back to the campus right now, right? Like as we're like driving away, I'm like, this is not a smart thing to do, right? Because we're taking a bus with strangers to a second location. I'm like, this is not brilliant.
Oh yeah, I've had moments like, right? Absolutely, yeah, where you're just like, uh-oh.
And everything was fine. It was totally fine. But like, also like, this is also the beginning of a bad story. So yeah, no, I get it.
Right. Yeah. So I really liked that stuff as a kid. And nowadays, today, my dad and I both send like Reddit posts from like the UFO subreddit and stuff to each other back and forth all the time. Yeah, because we're both big into the paranormal and into the occult and stuff, so we just send each other things. But in my book, I have several references to some of my dad's favorite movies, not to make it weird or anything, because of what the book's about, but I mean, like, you know, movies that we grew up together watching, and I kind of gravitate towards a movie that I saw when I was a kid, and then I sort of write a story with some of those themes attached to it.
Okay.
Yeah, like this one was very heavily influenced by like Flight of the Navigator.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Disney movie.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, like gray aliens. Oh, and then a little bit of Star Wars thrown in for good measure. The 2000s trilogy prequels.
Oh, wow.
Prequel movies.
Okay.
Yeah, not the original trilogy. The one that I saw them in high school and I loved them. But that, and like I'll just like borrow things, and that's kind of where I'm at with writing these books. But there's a with the second book that I have coming out, there's this really cool museum here in Eindhoven called the Evolution. It looks like a giant space saucer, and I'm like, I have to put that into the book somehow.
That's so cool.
But yeah, the cover. So
yeah,
the cover,
right.
it wasn't really working the way that I was hoping. Like sales, I went wide with it first.
Okay.
At first I did draft to digital, Kobo, you know, I put it wherever I could. And the only places I sold it when I went wide was Kobo, Amazon in other countries, and I think Apple did kind of well. I was surprised by that, by Apple. So that was doing pretty well. And then after a couple months, it just completely dried up. So I'm like, all right, it's time to throw it into Kindle Unlimited. But when I put it into Kindle Unlimited, I also want to give it a new cover, kind of like to make it a whole new launch, just to like, So what I did was, this is, you know, they didn't pay me to say this or anything, just talking about my experiences, but I went with getcovers.com because I saw somebody on TikTok mention them and how they enjoyed using Get Covers, which is a Ukrainian-based company. For transparency's sake, that cover that I have right now that people are responding really well to only cost me $20.
Wow.
But as soon as I put that cover on it, my page reads went up as soon as I changed it, and pretty much overnight I was like night and day difference.
That's awesome.
With how people were responding to it.
And that was the only thing you changed? You didn't change like the blurb or anything?
No, I like to do the scientific method where I go really slowly when I change things, and I'll only do it one at a time so that I can see if what is working.
Absolutely.
Otherwise it's like, what the heck is happening? You know, if you do everything all at once,
then what was the correction that needed to be made? Yeah.
So, with the cover, I noticed when I was in all these book funnel promos, which is, excellent to see what genre conventions you have going on. I noticed my old cover, while it was nice, my mother even really likes that cover. She's like, oh, I love this cover. It's like, okay, Mom. Nervous laugh, because it's like, she's got this book, first of all, and it's got a gray alien on the cover with a chick on it. I like the cover, but it was sticking out in a genre, and I don't think that's not actually a good thing. I know that it might be like an artistic thing where it's like, oh, look how neat this cover is. Yeah, but
you want something that catches attention. You want something that makes people pause, but not because they're like, this is the what doesn't fit, right? Like,
right?
It's
go ahead. Kate.
Really interesting how like this is like such a. But okay, I'm trying to like get through my thoughts. Sorry, I like lost it as soon as I started. Like you have readers who there's the blurb, there's the title, but for new to you authors, you kind of need something to signal various things about the book that in the past weren't so obviously like just kind of put out there. Like, here's the spice level. This book has open door sex scenes or closed door sex scenes. And like, there were various things that like people would use to in like specifically in romance, but like this kind of does apply to other genres as well. That you would use to signal to readers who were more well-versed in the genre or always looking for new authors to read, like what's going to be in this book. And you, sorry, that's kind of as far as the thought goes.
Okay.
Like, if you've got a guy with like shirtless abs, all that on the cover, then like, I expect a kind of medium to high heat romance. I expect there to be open door sex scenes. But if it's a couple that are fully clothed walking a dog on the beach, I expect closed door scenes,
Yeah.
And or maybe not even at all. Like it little things like that. And I think this was such a disruption in like the book cover kind of creation world when illustrated covers became like such a big deal, like became more popular. People all over the place are saying, I don't know what to expect from this book. And I remember actually I was talking to my cousin once and she, I think I said something about like, oh, I have that book too, I really loved it. And then she read it and then she came back and she was like, why didn't you tell me that the cartoon people fuck? And it was like, oh yeah, I guess you wouldn't know if you've never read that before and you're not used to like this new kind of era in how we kind of signal things at each other.
Well, and like that's one of the things that like I definitely see the argument of like illustrated covers not depicting that, right?
No, of course.
But then I also see like photoshopped covers where it's just like hot man #1, title and name of the author, and like if he's shirtless, like okay, then we know that this is probably an open door situation. But they're not always shirtless too either, right? And so I think that like there is a level of like covers, it's getting murkier to like understand what's happening inside them, which Kate is one of the reasons why I really love your photoshopped covers, because like I feel like you are really great at like giving a story that fits the genre but also like alludes to like content in a really subtle way, but is still so different from the other like photoshopped covers that I've seen, right?
Yeah, because when I see her cover, I know she made it.
I know. I was just telling her, like, hey, I'm about to make you start doing Photoshop. But it is like, for you. If I made
it's
it,
a good
like,
thing.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
If I made it, they'd be like, oh, the author made this for sure. But like for you, it's great.
Oh no, it's more like you're an artist, and exactly. I can tell that that's your artist signature is the way that you make your covers. Like I can tell that that's a Kate Pryor cover. And I really like them a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Especially the Orc from The Office. I think it's so a good color psychology thing. I think that color psychology really plays a big part in this because, like, you see my cover and it's red.
Mm-hmm.
So like that kind of like evokes passion and like because you're getting a lot of that in the book. And then so I kind of rolled with that into my brand on my Instagram. I'm trying to like stick to a certain color to like match it. So then when the next cover comes out, I'll like try to match that too. But like the orc from The Office, when you look at it, and it's this really cute pink with this really nice green in there, but it's like this huge orc dude in the elevator. And it's funny because I look at that cover and I'm like, I really like this, but I don't know why.
Ooh, I can actually explain to you. There's like a film thing going on.
Okay.
Well, so this often happens in like when people talk about like the male gaze kind of thing, when they introduce a love interest, so it's usually with a woman. You start at the feet and then you kind of pan upwards slowly.
Oh, yeah.
And you kind of reveal people one thing at a time, and then you reach the eyes last, and that's kind of the last bit of. But when you look at someone's face first, that kind of loses the tension, You don't start at their face and then go all the way down to their feet. That's weird. But by
that's really
creating a focal point at the bottom where the title is, where the glasses are on the floor, and then kind of showing you her and him, and then kind of going up, and then you can't see either of their faces. It creates a tension, it creates mystery, without doing like a full. I don't even know how I was going to end that sentence.
Well, but like there's also still chemistry between them too, right? So like it's clear that they're making eye contact, and then they're about to be in this close quarters of the elevator, right? Which is like, as we've discussed, like absolutely natural tension, just like being in this strangely intimate space where there's nothing to look at, nothing to listen to, really. You're just in an elevator with a stranger.
That's why I hate elevators.
Yeah,
I mean, like, seriously. Do not perceive me.
Do not perceive me. But like there's a story being told, not only from like the way that you've moved the eye, because now that you say it, like I'm like, yeah, my eye always does drop to the bottom and move up when I look at this cover. But also there's a story being told that implies like sexual tension, right?
Well, it's the going into there, and like he's in the elevator, it's his lair.
I love it.
Yeah, it's the moving in, because you go like it's just you're creating natural paths that the eye follows, that the eye feels like you're creating a sense of movement.
See, and this is another good reason to tip your artists when they're making you a cover, because she's not just slapping crap onto a blank page. I mean, like, thought and effort went into this, and education. So yeah, absolutely, that makes a lot of sense now, because when like just me looking at the cover, I'm like, I like this, but I don't know why. And it's like, and then you explain why, and again it's like that psychology thing where you're explaining it. But when I was on BookFunnel, I noticed that my cover stood out, and not
in the way you wanted it to.
No, unfortunately. I mean, I wasn't selling you a bad bill of goods with that cover, because that is kind of like an alien that shows
because it is true to the story. Like, the aliens do at one point reveal themselves to be the little gray men.
Yeah, I mean, they're not that little.
Not little, but like,
little. But like, we're getting in the X-Files territory, like Unsolved Mysteries territory.
Yeah, I kept calling them X-Files aliens when I was talking to my boyfriend about, like, I'm looking at this cover and it's the X-Files alien.
Yeah, it is. So then I noticed, like, there was a general theme in sci-fi romance, and it's really not that fun to me. It's really not, but because I feel like in sci-fi romance especially, there is a look. And it is the bare-chested man who is colored a different shade of whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's
it's absolutely there. I feel like everyone who like read one Ruby Dixon book was like, all right, I'm gonna do a guy who's green now, or I'm gonna do a guy
they're
who's
just
like...
a different shade. And like, I like giving them other alien characteristics, like the next alien is like an incubus alien, you know, with a tail
like
and horns
making
and wings.
it a little different.
Yeah, with like some alien extremities and you know, not just a hot guy with, you know, like you might as well just read again, like about like regular people, I suppose. I don't know.
I think there's a couple of like lines drawn there. Like I think you can kind of cut it a few different ways. That there's people who want to read sci-fi romance or fantasy romance or monster romance. There's like a certain degree of, how do I say, suspension of disbelief. So you're allowed to get away with a bit more, you know?
But that is like part of what the reader is coming for, is like, this is...
Coming for?
This is a place where it's safe to just be your most sexual self.
Yeah. So like there's that, but then there's like that step further, which is people who are like willing to read, like people who just want to read about like a blue dude or whatever color dude. Or
they still want it to be very humanoid.
Very humanoid, you know, not over, nothing kind of too out there. And then there's the people who would read the too out there kind of stuff. Who would read like the Anna Gere book where, I'm sorry, I'm going to say her name properly. Anna Gere. Not like...
Yeah, the strange love stuff.
Strange love, where like, dude's literally a bug. Like...
Yeah, like I heard people really like that one. I haven't read it.
It's like so well done. But that like, there is a moment in the book where you're like, oh, he's a bug. Am I going to read this? Do I want to keep reading this?
I saw a TikTok last night where a woman was like, I understand that a lot of y'all are like really young, like in your early 20s, and haven't gone down haven't had to acclimate yourself over time to the really crazy KU erotica stuff.
Yeah.
But you guys have a weird definition of spicy. It's like when they say, here's a spicy book, and it's like really, really, really tame. Really tame.
Yeah, no. Some people have different thresholds for what's spicy, but when we try to communicate with each other, we all just use that one word, and so we're all
right.
That's like
not
the
really on
thing.
the same page.
Yeah, because
right.
Also, because I've heard Roxy Noir talk about this too, where, you know, people will like essentially deem her books to not be like 5 stars spicy, essentially 5 pepper spicy, because she doesn't step into kink, right?
Yes, exactly.
And like if you kink does not
like,
equate spice, so it's almost like we need
exactly.
We need like peppers, and then we need stars, we need peppers, and then we need like handcuffs. Like where are we at in the kink spectrum too, right? Because like
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
You could write a really low spice, very kinky book.
Absolutely.
That just you know isn't very high heat. You know,
and because I just read
I don't know
PA by A.H. Cunningham, and I would definitely call it high spice, and it definitely has to do with kink. So like it definitely does all of those things, but there are kink scenes that aren't like they're hot, but they're not spicy until they get spicy. Does that make sense? Like you said, like
no,
kink
I get you.
Can exist without penetration, right? And that's one of the things that she does really well in that book is like showing that these two things can be separate.
Yeah, there was like a really great article from like, I can't really name the person because they wrote it under like a fan fiction pen name.
Okay.
So I don't remember, but that's what I remember about it. It wasn't like a real person name. It was like an online name. And they made like a number of points on how to create like spiciness, but like spiciness is tension, according to them, about how to create like that emotional climax in the scene. It isn't just like they're having sex. Like if they just have sex and there's no like tension, there's no overall plot, or not even plot, just emotional arc.
Yeah, absolutely.
then it's going to feel kind of flat. It's going to lack something. And, you know, books that like really do accomplish this with like very high heat, high tension without venturing into like kink or just even, just keeping it vanilla. I think are books that really pay attention to creating like an emotional need that needs to be fulfilled and a miniature emotional arc or just tension arc between the two characters.
Well, and you've mentioned this before where, like, if your sex scenes don't develop either, you know, each sex scene has to achieve something different. So, like, the heat level has to increase or, like an activity has to go a little bit further than the one before. And or there has to be a new emotional heightened, like, moment. There has to be something, or else it's the same scene but different actions.
Yeah, like I feel like you always have to be pushing the envelope in one regard or another. It could be they're playing with a new kink, or it could be that they've never been this emotionally vulnerable with each other. Or it could just be that they've never done it outside and they could be caught.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm learning things. This is great.
Or it could be like a completely separate act, right? Like, you know, like in a hetero situation, like maybe they did other things that, like hands or oral or something like that, and now now they are actually having penetration. Like, there has to be some level of progression.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, we were also
What do you...
go ahead.
Oh, I had a question for both of you with, so we have the cover trying to signal what to find inside the book, basically, and how we're finding that there is a bit of a shake-up, you know, a disruption with the illustrated covers and, like, other kinds of covers where we're not sure. What do you think about authors putting sort of like a little description at the bottom of their blurb? Like, I've seen a lot of authors explaining a little bit about like what they might find, like this is a, you know, a polyamorous like 4-way book, high heat.
I'm for it. Like, I do that not on the physical book itself, but I do that in the Amazon listing just because I think it's easy because I'm pretty much just exclusive to Amazon and Kindle right now, just because I'm lazy. There's a lot of effort into going wide, and I just.
Well, also you're having a successful moment in KU too, so I mean, that conversation with Tasha L. Harris, where she was talking about, you know, like who your morals are great,
well
but
KU,
who's paying you?
KU.
Yeah, exactly.
But people who have success going wide aren't necessarily going to have because you're reaching a different group of people, and those groups of people don't necessarily overlap. And so it's kind of like, where are you building your network?
Which is one of the reasons why I think that I'll go wide probably sooner than you, because I think that my books would do better wide. Not that my books would do better wide, but that my books are more written for a wide audience than a KU audience.
Yeah, I feel like there is a specific KU kind of style of book, if that makes sense.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Like, you know,
there totally is.
Like you were just talking about it, like this is the spicy rabbit hole you can fall down in KU, and it's like, if you write that stuff, then this is a perfect home for it.
Exactly.
But if you're not writing that stuff, it may have a better home where there's more people who are looking specifically for that in this other spot.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I don't know what demographic of reader, and when I say demographic, I don't want to be like, here's your age, here's your sex,
exactly,
here's your you know, your anything, your income per year, or what state you live in. No, I want demographic in like what you consume, what spice level you consume, or like what content matter.
You have so many reviews on your books too.
She does. I know, right?
Like, what magic did you?
Well, so I sacrificed 2 sheep, and no, I love sheep. I wouldn't do that.
I would never to the sheep.
I did a lot of like artwork, sending out advanced reader copies for work with from the office.
But how many did you send out?
I think I definitely tried to hit like 72. I don't know if I actually hit that number. I think maybe I stopped at 50.
Well, because like
it could have gotten to 70 though.
With Just Fake Married, I sent out about 70 arcs, but I'm at like 25, 28 reviews on that book.
Well, so I think I have a number of like things that happened that not everything in it that happened was within my control. Mm-hmm. You know, because so the orc book is the second in the series, which makes it kind of weird that this one took off. But there were people who had really enjoyed the first book who said, hey, if you write a second one, I want to read it, so come back to me. And so I had people who I already knew were going to enjoy the book, kind of like it was not a sure thing, but like probably will. Mm-hmm. And then I had people who were brand new who volunteered, because like, you know, I put out on social media, I'm building my ARC team. Like, this is as much as I can tell you about the book. If you want to read and review it, send me your email, like that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I also tried to release my book at like on the 1st of October because it's a monster book, Monster Month. And I kind of ran into a couple of hashtags I didn't know previously about. Orktober, like Monster
cute.
Mash Monday, things like that. Like,
aww.
But, you know, so there are like whole communities of people who at like Halloween, like will dip into monster romance even when they don't regularly read it. You know, they're like, all right, it's spooky season. I will try this.
Right.
So there's that. I do think the biggest thing that helped was that Ruby Dixon posted, "Oh, I want to read this." On her page. Yes.
Oh man,
yes,
I know, right?
And that only happened because an ARC reader who I had reached out to made a cute little graphic about it and referenced one of Ruby's characters on the graphic. Wow. So she saw it because it's related to her, and then like, you know, like this chain of events happened that I didn't have any control over. But they
right. That was really fortunate. Also, your cover. The cover really does sell it. That really does sell it. I went on to both Booksprout and Prolific Works, and I gave out 55 copies on Prolific Works, and I got 0 reviews. Yeah, I was actually kind of mad.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And then I gave out 25 on Booksprout and I got 8 reviews.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I don't know what I did wrong.
I wonder, how were you engaging with these people when you asked them for a review?
Well, with those services, they sent out emails to remind them to review. Okay. Now, I just made my own ARC team in January. I put out a call for signups and I actually interact with those people. So I'm hoping that gets me more reviews this time around.
I did the same thing, not with Booksprout, but with making my own ARC team. I personally messaged every person who, you know, reached out to me or said, I would like to read this. I then followed up with them, and then I sent an email following up to that and said, let me know if you need anything, like how can I help you through this process. And it was very hands-on, and it's like it's a very stressful month, I'm gonna be real, every time I've done that.
Yeah.
And it is so time consuming, but I do think it made a difference, because when you have that kind of personal contact with someone, you do feel obligated to like do your homework.
Yeah.
Right.
Like finish the assignment.
Yeah,
and
like
I feel like
these
through
are
those automated
people...
services, maybe they don't feel that.
Oh no, absolutely not. No, I feel like the people. Okay, for one thing, Booksprout I had to pay for.
Oof, yeah.
Granted, it was only $10, but still, like I didn't want to invest that much, right? Because just starting out, didn't really have the money Still don't really, I mean, that's why I'm going with get covers, obviously, because, like, this is, it's a very expensive industry.
Yeah, no, that's something I wish we talked about more often.
I agree.
That, like, because, and it sucks that we kind of end up pitting authors against book cover creators.
Right.
And, you know, like, and editors and, you know, just
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
else who is also doing the freelance thing, who's doing the
Right. It was like
thing.
Right, because it's like, think of it like you're playing an RPG almost, but you're only given so many points to put into
there's only
these.
so many resources.
And it's like, I can put my points into the editing, or I can put my points into the book cover.
Yeah, like, and like, if you don't, like, I don't know what your whole, like, what your situation is, but like, I know between me and Marty's situation, it's like, do you have like a, but I'm not asking, like, you don't have to share.
No,
if you
you're
want to.
okay.
Having a day job, you know, like, I can put money aside from that into my book career if I want to, but then it's like, I have to plan to lose that money. You know, I may not make it back.
Well, it's definitely not when you're right away
talking about investing $1,000 into, like, a cover or an editor or whatever service you can't do for yourself. It becomes, well, what if there's a cheaper option? Or, but then, like, you know, like, it sucks. Capitalism sucks.
It does.
It really does.
I remember before I published, everyone would, like, throw out, like, if you make your investment back in the first 6 months, your book is doing really well, right? And I was like, okay, so that's doing really well. Okay, so, like, what's doing normal? Right? Like,
yeah.
And then also, like, okay, but, like, how much is everybody investing? Right? Like, because there's such a broad scale of, like, you know, there's people that really just do their best on their own and put it out there, and that is such a sliding scale. Like, I would not feel that I could do this on my own and put out a product that I felt comfortable with, right? And then there's the other end of the spectrum where you can pay a lot of money, but there's a lot of opportunities in the middle that would have been just as good. Like, paying more doesn't mean that it's just a better product, right?
Exactly.
There is so much, like, wiggle room for how good, not wiggle room, I don't want to say that. There's so much room for something to end up being terrible, even if you pay a lot for it.
And if you do all of, like, you check all the boxes, like, yeah, I paid
because there is so much space between the author's vision for something, what's gonna actually sell to the market, and then what the illustrator understands from what the author has conveyed to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Absolutely.
Like, there's all these factors in here, and it's like, unless the illustrator has, like, a solid grasp of both what the market expects and a degree of freedom from the, like, what the author is giving them. And because, you know, that's a whole other conversation.
I always feel bad, like, when Kate is like, well, what do you want? And I'm like, I literally have no pictures in my head. Like, I have nothing. I have nothing. I want whatever you're going to do. Like, sort of.
Right. Because she's made all of your covers,
yeah,
right?
she has. And we tried to do Photoshop, and we were looking through like, pictures and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how to make any of this into a cover. Right? Like, my brain couldn't do it. And so we decided to go with illustration, and now, you know, poor Kate, like, I'm sorry, bud, I think it's going to be, like, the next series is going to be Photoshop, and I'm going to be like, hey, just follow your heart, you know what it's about, you know the market, and, like, good luck.
Right. So, you know, it's
no pressure, have fun.
I have never actually encountered an illustrated cover that has been a deal breaker for me, but I have encountered photoshopped covers that have caused me to not pick up a book.
That's a good point.
Really?
I've heard of enough people that, like, they won't just give illustrated covers a try because it is so much harder to tell, like, is this open door or is it closed? So I've heard of a lot of people that just steer away from illustrated covers for that reason. But, like,
right. And I'm one of those readers who just doesn't care if it's open or closed. I'll read whatever you give me.
Yeah.
So I'm not that kind of reader. So I can totally understand that, though, because I know that my sister, who she would be scandalized by the stuff that I write, but, like, she would probably want to pick up a Tessa Bailey book with an illustrated cover on it, honestly.
Okay.
And she'll be like, I feel safe. And then she probably would be upset, like, later on, you know?
No.
But
I feel less safe.
you know, but like with me, I have seen photoshopped pictures where I'm just like, why is that guy making that face?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
There's a lot of room for things to look bad in Photoshop. I feel like that can be attributed to, oh, that's just the art style for cartoon covers.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
and I think that's another reason why, like, Kate, your style with the Photoshop that you do is so great because you don't really have a face on your male characters, right?
That's
because
so
I know
helpful.
I'm gonna fuck it up.
Exactly. Well, but like, it's so much.
No, but I
But,
love
like,
that because then you can also visualize it for yourself.
And also, like, then you don't have a weird tone or an overacted expression. Right?
Yeah,
'Cause,
like
right.
always mugging at the camera.
Exactly. And, like, I think that that's just one of the benefits of doing it the way you're doing it.
I know that young adult books kind of had a lot of backlash when they were in this era of girl running away from the camera in like a beautiful dress or whatever, and you can't see your face. Faceless girl trope. And it was just like, people were really tired of it because they were doing it constantly. But it's at the same time, it's like, I feel there's so much more room to kind of be off-putting when you show people's faces.
I agree.
Yeah.
That sounds awful. Like, I don't want to say I'm calling anyone ugly, but I'm saying
No.
you like eye contact is a little too intense for like a
Oh,
book.
yeah. Do you remember the 90s YA books, like the Vampire Diary? Is that 90s? Oh,
that's
shit.
early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
no, I remember.
Right. But, like, they will put everybody on the cover all the time. And
It makes me feel weird personally.
It does. It really does. They have a tendency sometimes to look cheap.
Yeah,
Just
like you're just slapping the movie poster on here.
Yeah, yes, that's what I think of as like a movie tie-in or a TV show tie-in for those things. They can look cheap, or you run the risk of the person not being the reader's type. So instead of being able to visualize who they want to see in their own mind's eye, they see this guy, and it's hard to erase that image once you get in your head. Like, this guy looks this way and he has a really terrible haircut.
Yes.
And I've seen some really unfortunate haircuts on these covers.
Yeah.
And yeah, I honestly really do prefer the covers where it's like, either just show me a shirtless dude without a face on a cover. I don't care. Let's objectify him. They've done it to women for how many years?
Well,
I'm kidding, by the way. Like,
no, I get
You're
that.
getting paid to
Like,
be objectified, though.
but like also like then it becomes like nothing is less hot to me than someone trying to be hot, right? Like there's so much effort put into like he's lifting his shirt just right, he's sneering just right, like oh yeah, so hot right now.
God,
and like that
is what.
No, thank you.
No, you go.
No, I just don't like it. I don't like it.
No, I get it. That was what like made it so hard. Like when I first downloaded TikTok, I would like go on and then there'd be like people,
yes,
you know, especially like people who like do the cosplay things or people who are just thirst trapping. And it's like, all I can do is like picture you alone in the room with your camera.
Yes.
Or like whoever's moving the camera for you. God, that's not like, I'm dying of secondhand embarrassment for you for this moment. And it was like, oh my god. Do you remember that Tom Hiddleston commercial where like he's sitting across from you eating a salad and he's talking to you?
Yes.
And he's like
So
making eye
uncomfortable.
contact with the camera.
I
had
haven't seen
such
American
a crush
commercials in
on-
ages. I'm glad I missed that. That sounds awkward.
Okay, but like I had such a crush on him up till that point. I could not. I died. I immediately was like, I never want to see this man again.
And it killed your crush. Oh,
It
God.
did.
So, yeah, now we know the importance of covers.
Of neglecting eye contact.
Yeah, like...
Don't look at me.
It's like, don't look at me. Don't judge me for trying to like read some alien smut over here.
Yeah. And then I'll see a lot of these books, like dark romance tends to have a very dark cover and usually nobody on the cover.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, this is like such a like
your nerd point.
Here's a nerd point, and it's also gonna feel like it's unrelated for a minute, but in the art world. So, you know, classic paintings. When you would like during the Renaissance, when people would paint these things, you know, you get a lot of female nudes in classic art. And, you know, it's just everywhere. The female form is just not even considered human anymore because it's just all these like women demurely looking away. And then there's this one painting that really like riled people up because it was a painting of this woman. I believe she was a sex worker. I'm not 100% on that, but she's making like direct eye contact with the viewer. And people hated this thing because it held the viewer accountable for objectifying her.
Oh,
and it
man.
really unsettled like all of Europe. And that's why it's famous. I don't know. This is just really kind of like a little bit of a parallel to what we're feeling today with these covers. You know, just a thought.
No, that's so interesting. I love that. I love that you were able to bring that up. Like, and I like how excited you get when you talk about
I know, right?
Stuff. It's
Doesn't
great.
it just like fill your heart with joy? Like, ooh, cool. Go
Let me yell at you through the internet about my hyperfixations.
I love it. I love it. But okay, so back to reviews for a second. Kate, what I'm hearing is like most of your reviews, like you do a good job with your arc, which I feel like you and I pursue our arc readers in a really similar way, right? And I do have like one-on-one communication with them and like all this stuff. So like what I'm hearing is like you just have really great organic reviews. Like people read it and they want to talk about it.
I feel like I got the ball rolling at a really good time. There was a lot of luck involved. Like I want to say like 90% of my views are just people who've reviewed the book is out of luck. That makes sense. Like I got the ball rolling to the best of my ability. And I don't think I could take credit for, you know, the chain of events that happened. Like it could have easily just not have happened.
Right.
But I think that's also kind of creates when you write something and you're reaching and you're doing I don't want to call it book comp thing, but like it kind of circles back to something that we were talking about earlier. Oh God, hold all my thoughts in the same hand at once.
Book comps. We were talking about it earlier.
Okay. You want to try to reach out to authors who you think their audience is your audience and asking for blurbs. And that may get you somewhere. It may get you very little, you know? They may say no. They may say yes. That you still may get very little out of that. Because you've got a blurb from them. They may love your book and rave about it and post about it on their social media. And then their audience is your audience now. Like, not that you've taken it, but that they overlap now.
Yeah.
No,
your audience in their network.
That's a really good point.
By force.
I do, like, I have done maybe like 2 newsletter swaps. I really don't. And I know
I want to talk
keeps
about newsletter, dude. I really do.
Okay,
so
yes.
Please go. You've done 2 newsletter swaps?
Yeah,
so, like, I'm so here for this conversation.
Like nothing happens, but I mean, I really like doing my newsletter, but I have a very hard time getting people to sign up. However, I did have a magnet, but I'm up in the middle. I'm in a transition period right now where I need to offer a new one, and I really want to offer a new one, but I don't have the time to make a new one. You know.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So right now I have like no cookie.
Okay.
No cookie, womp womp.
Well,
I did up until like a week ago.
You're having reads of Abduction Seduction. Have you done like an epilogue or a prequel that people can, like at the end of the book, they can just click on that and sign up for your newsletter to get it for free? Like 3,000 words. Have you done that yet?
I have not done that. An
That
epilogue?
works,
No.
that works really well. And like I say this knowing that I haven't done it for Just Fake Married and I really need to. But that works really well. It's not like not everyone who's going to read it is going to do that, but I mean someone who enjoyed it and wants more, like now you've got them. They're already warm to you. They want you, right?
That's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
I love that.
And like that's
idea.
the great thing about being romance writers and like other genres, you know, they know their readers too, but like one of the great things about being romance writers is like we know what our reader got already and what they want more of, right? So like I'm in an anthology piece, right, that has it's a closed door anthology, right? But I write open door romance, right? And so I made it clear at the end of that anthology piece, this is the open door scene that would happen at the end of this book. Like this is an epilogue that's open door, right? So now like anyone who gets to the end of that story knows that I am an open door writer and that I have more from these characters that they've enjoyed. And so when they sign up, now they have access to that and the other free stuff I give away, right? Because every single book every single email I send out, I have links at the bottom to just free stuff. So I have my magnet that I'm in the same place. I need a fresh magnet. But it's still available if someone found me a different way than, you know, a BookBub promo where they got the magnet for free. If they found me a different way, it's still available to them. So that works really well. I'm currently doing a newsletter swap. Like I'm writing the newsletter swap piece that is a prequel to what will be first in a new series, a small town romance new series. When that swap is done, now this prequel will be at the end of that first in series as the reader magnet for those people, right? And it's all information that isn't something that the reader needs to know. Like to read that book, they don't need to have read this prequel. So the prequel is just bonus material, right? But promos have done really well. I did a promo with Mistletoe Caps and Spats. Was a Secret Santa giveaway that we did with some friends where we had like we got each other's names and we wrote a story for them based on like their, you know, things that they like and things that we know that they don't like. We would
fill out like a little like Google form for each other, like what kinks do you want to read about, what tropes do you want, what's your not allowed to include these things in it, what are your icks kind of thing. God, I'm sorry, it's just
no, you're okay. It was and like I loved doing that, and like we need to do it again. The issue is that we've all gotten busier with our writing, and so you know, taking a pause and writing a 3,000 to 5,000 word short story, it's just harder to make happen for all of us, I think. But like that also like was such a freeing experience, right? Truth or Dare came from that, and this newsletter giveaway came from that too. Yeah, it was just so great. It was so great. But I did a builder with that short story, and it ended up, I think right now it's sitting around like 7,000 words. And I did a builder with that in December and November, and I ended up getting an influx of like 400 readers, like 400 subscribers. And so, yeah,
holy shit.
These can be, I mean, guys, these promos can be so beneficial. Like, I cannot, like, I understand. I think that everyone just needs to find their way of marketing that feels most natural to them, right? So, like, if newsletter doesn't feel natural, I will never tell anyone that's the only way to do it. Clearly, it's not. Kay's not into her newsletter right now, but, like, she's doing great. She's doing a great job. Every single newsletter I send out, I get new reads. I do 2 to 3 swaps every single newsletter, and I'm upping this month to doing 3 newsletters a month. And, like, it's just continued to build in a way that's really helpful. And I will happily like speak with you about like different things that you can do with your newsletter, different ways to find swaps.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna need to pick your brain later
absolutely.
about newsletter stuff, because I feel like it's just this one big area that needs a lot of improvement.
Have you?
Of course, I only have one book right now, but yeah.
Have you read Newsletter Ninja?
I did, yeah.
Okay, well, I really like that, and I took a lot of her input and used it, and I think that it was one of those situations where I was resistant to do it. I felt really uncomfortable. And as soon as I just embraced doing it, I was like, this feels great. Like, this is my favorite way to do this, right? And it just really caught me off guard how much I enjoy sending out newsletters and how much I enjoy creating community that way. Now, my replies and stuff like that are not where I want them to be, right? And so I'm trying to find ways to increase engagement there. And I think I might have just had an idea. But moving on.
Well, so where can people find you, DJ? Where do you want people to find you? Don't give us anything that's like your home address.
Okay, so right now I'm operating very sparse with like a link tree that has everything on it. So if you are aware of Linktree, I'm just DJ Russo on there. Just one word, DJ Russo.
Spell the URL, because I don't know how to operate Linktree.
Yep, it is linktr.ee and then /DJ Russo.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and then you'll find literally everything about me on there.
Sweet. Does it have your Tumblr too?
It does. It does have my Tumblr on there. What's funny is Tumblr turned out to be a really good place for me for finding new readers. Most of it came from
I
Tumblr.
didn't think that so many people would come back to Tumblr, but I'm glad I found you and that we've got our little community there.
Yeah, I've found a ton of people who are really into monster romance specifically on Tumblr.
That is where all the monster people are. I'm convinced.
Yeah, I'm not too terribly surprised that that's where they're hanging out, is on Tumblr. But yeah, nice little book community over there. And can I mention my sale?
Yeah,
because I do have a sale anywhere between the 13th and the 17th, because that's when my sale is on Amazon for 99 cents.
Ooh. Yay.
Yeah.
I hope you get a lot of reviews out of that.
I hope
Thank you. Me too. I'm surprised because like people are reading it and like the reviews I get are good.
Yeah.
I'm like always surprised people like it. I'm always surprised when I get a new review and it's like 5 stars. I love this. And it's like, really?
I think people have to be like either really like something or really hate it to leave a review. No one leaves that's it's all right.
Yeah.
And
Kate, do you want to tell them where you're at?
You can find me at Instagram and TikTok and at my website, kate-pryor.com. And, there are other socials. I have been neglecting them because I have been focusing on all my work stuff lately.
Yeah.
I think Instagram's the main place to find me nowadays.
I think that's the main place to find me, too. Which is, Kate is at by Kate Pryor.
Oh, thank you.
On Instagram.
And
you're welcome.
Marty V is at martyvauthor.com.
martyv.com. I am at martyvauthor on TikTok and Instagram. And
gotcha. All right. You would think I would know by now because you say this every week.
Well, but like sometimes you usually do know it. It's okay. You don't have to know everything, Kate.
I know. God. Oh, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you for having me.
This has been so much fun.
It has.
It was fun.
And now I just feel like I want to do in-depth conversations about all of these things.
Mm-hmm. You guys should do another newsletters episode where you just talk about it and then I can edit it and take notes.
Okay.
You're like, all right, now I'm going to do this.
Well, my first suggestion would be read Newsletter Ninja. That was really good. And she has a whole series. Like she talks about what reader magnets should be, and she gives suggestions, and then she also has just done a book, I think this year, that is she kept on getting asked by authors, like, what do I actually write my newsletter about? She's like, you're a writer, just go for it. And now she's like, you know what? Let me tell you what to talk about, sort of thing. So, yeah, she has a couple books out. She's a smart lady. So, yeah. All right. Well, guys, thanks for chatting. Listener, thanks for being here.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.